Welcome into the Lounge, presented by DraftKings. We are thrilled to sit down with tackle Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie's in the most comfortable outfit of the three of us here today. You're getting ready for the snow and sleet at M&T Bank Stadium.
Well, but he's got the shorts though, so that's
the
not
top
really
half.
Okay.
Bryson? Can we zoom out on the bottom half? The top half is ready. Yeah. This is a comfy outfit, Ronnie, and you're kind of a stylish guy. I like how you have your own style. You know, it's just Ronnie Stanley. You don't conform to what society really thinks of. Is this kind of a prime example?
Yeah, I think it is a prime example. And I think you're completely right. I kind of just do my own thing and whatever feels comfortable.
That's one of the things I like about you, Ronnie. So going into this game, big Ravens-Steelers game, obviously the stakes are different for us, right? But given that they won the last time that we were out in Pittsburgh, is there a little bit more juice to this game, even though it doesn't have the usual Week 17 stakes?
I mean, it's still a rivalry game, and it's still Pittsburgh versus Baltimore, so we know the type of energy there's going to be in that stadium, and they're fighting for a playoff spot as well. So they're fighting for their lives right now. So we're not just going to, sit there and, not play ball. So, it's going to be a physical game.
Do you kind of like that, them coming into this game fighting for their lives? Is that you kind of like, all right, we can help you with that a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter what the stakes are, I feel like these two teams, when we play each other, it's always going to be, like a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah.
And we're just going to get after it.
So obviously, this team has already clinched the number 1 overall seed, and you have been here and had some really good teams that have been here that you've been part of since your time in Baltimore. I know Odell Beckham Jr. talked after the game about how he feels like this is the best team he's ever been on, top to bottom. I'm curious, from where you sit, what do you think of this team and how good of a group it is overall in comparison to all the other teams that you've been on here?
Yeah, I agree with that as well. This is definitely the best team I've been on since I've been here. And I just think we're a complete team and at every position with depth as well. And we have a great mix between veteran players and young players and, everything in between, really. And then all the guys that were there in 2019, a lot of those key players are still here. And we grew a lot from that year and moving forward. So to be able to have those type of players and, become better leaders, and you had the free agents and you had the key young players, it's just a more complete team.
Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up 2019, not me. Okay, so
the comparisons are natural.
The comparison is there, like
and everything.
First round bye, and that team was great, but it didn't finish great, and so Lamar has talked about that and basically learning from that experience, and how do you like view that team, that experience, the time that you had basically from now until that playoff game? How do you take all of that and learn from it and feel like you're in a bit better position this time around to handle it?
I mean, I think what happened was, just so traumatic that I don't think anyone that's still here from that year that's still playing on this team didn't affect them greatly, and not only how they approached their game, but just mentally and how they approach everything and in different situations when, kind of everything is going good. But, like I said, in this situation, everyone's kind of learned from that, and using this time in the best way possible, I think, is going to be the biggest difference.
It sounds like you're talking about kind of that locked in that we've been hearing a lot about Lamar and other players, that just more locked in. Is it a different mindset than in 2019 in terms of, you were so far and away the best team in the league then, 14-2, all that stuff. Like, again, you're blowing out some of the best teams in the league the past 2 weeks, the Dolphins and the 49ers. But is there a different mindset now, despite the success, than there was in 2019?
Yeah, I think there is. And, I don't sense any complacency on this team. And, in 2019, I feel like I could sense it a little bit. But, I feel like now I really don't sense any complacency, and I feel like everyone's still not satisfied, and we know where we want to get, and we still don't feel like we're there yet as a team. We always feel like we can get better, and we can get better.
Can you share any stories or insight of examples where you haven't seen that complacency, where somebody has said something or something has happened where you said, oh, okay, that's a little bit different this time?
I don't think there's like an example, but I just say the way we go about, our everyday activities, where there be walkthrough or practice, and, really focusing on getting better, not just going through the motions. We're out there with more of an intent to get it right and execute, and we still have the mindset of, embrace imperfections, but, still learn from them and fix those mistakes when you can.
The other part of it, to me, it seems like this team feels like the window is there right now. Like, you've got a really good mix of veteran players and young players. You have vets like Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney who come in here who are playing at a high level. You've got a good number of free agents going into the offseason. But it feels like this group, it feels like everything's kind of coming together. How much is that part of the feeling of being locked in and knowing that the opportunity is there, can't let it pass you by? Like, how big of a factor is that in leading to the mentality that we're talking about right now?
A lot of the guys that were here in 2019 were a little bit younger then, and that reality of what you just said, those teams don't come by, every year where, you can have those type of years. So, not taking that moment for granted and this team for granted, and making sure we do everything that we're capable of to accomplish our goal.
I'm curious for you how much you are looking forward to this playoff run individually. It's been a long road kind of for you over the past few years with all that you've dealt with. Like, how important is this run, this opportunity for you?
It's very important. I'm very thankful to be able to, be here and, playing and be able to help the team, accomplish our goals. And, that's all I'm really focused on. And, but I'm very appreciative and thankful to be in this position.
Everybody obviously knows the struggles that you've dealt with just from a physical standpoint the last several years. First going, the ankle, and now this year with the 2 knee injuries. How difficult has that been for you to handle? How have you handled that from a mental standpoint?
It's been pretty difficult, physically and mentally. But, I always try to, evolve and adapt to the situation. And it took a little longer than I really wanted, but I feel like been able to really evolve more to, the injuries that have come this year, and be able to, work around them and still be able to play at a high level, and focusing on just, keep getting back to where I feel the standard for myself is.
What do you mean by evolve? Do you mean kind of change your game, change the way you're blocking?
Yeah, sometimes you can't get in certain positions because, of injuries, like you said, the knees. So sometimes it's harder to, be able to be in certain positions where, I usually want to be using my technique. So, you need to be able to adjust and figure out a way either to get the job done in a different position or figure out another way to get into the position that you want to be in. It's just, a lot of different tinkering here and there with a technique, based on physical, capabilities.
That's got to be really hard. I mean, when you're so used to blocking one way and these are my strengths, this is how I do my job, and I do it at a very high level, to then have to say, you know what, I do have to change the way that I'm blocking. That's got to be a really hard thing to do mid-season, especially as you're dealing with the physical aspect of it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, easy, but if it was easy, everyone would do it.
So Ronnie, you've established yourself in your career as one of the best left tackles in the game. And I know that you have a lot of pride about how you play, and you want to be at that level. And, it's tough when you're dealing with these injuries. How have you kind of dealt with the challenge of not just physically coming back from them, but once you get back, just to get back to playing at the level that you know that you're capable of and that you want to play at? How have you kind of handled that piece of it once you've returned and gotten back on the field?
Just taking it day by day and really focusing on, not trying to accomplish it all in one day, but, incremental steps and just step by step getting better every day. I think that's been the main focus that, helps me, not get too critical.
Did you, when you were dealing with the ankle, did you always know? Like, some guys, you basically missed 2 seasons, 2 full seasons. Was there ever a point where you wondered whether you were going to come back or not?
I don't think there's ever a point that I didn't think I would come back, but I was always, anxious to wonder if I could, feel like I could perform and, do the things that I'd want to do. And like I said, be in the positions I want to be in. That was always, something that I would thought about.
And then I feel like you had a really strong off season. Like you were healthy, and you come in and it was week 1, right?
Yeah.
We got clipped in the knee.
Yeah,
didn't last long.
I know, right? That was the worst part about it. Everything was going good, feeling well, and then week 1, out for what was it, 4 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
But and then kept retweaking it throughout that was, just battling through that and, like I said, adjusting to, just those situations.
Yeah. To me, as much as, we keep talking about, coming back from a physical standpoint, and I know that that's really grueling, but to me, especially knowing you and the perfectionist that you are, and kind of to Garrett's point, the you want to be that top guy, right? And that and you're coming off the ankle, it's got to be really hard to say now, all right, I'm feeling really good, but now I'm physically not able to show that again, right? Like how do you deal with that aspect of hey, maybe physically I can't be that guy that I was in 2019 or whatever, but I can't have pity for myself or whatever. I just got to be the best version of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I still believe I can be that guy. To this day, I do believe that, based on, everything that I'm feeling in my body, you know, like I said, just adjusting to, things that happen during the season, people falling on you, whatever the case may be. But, I really, I still believe it. So
is that just a matter of getting healthy, or what do you feel like it takes?
Yeah, I really feel like, just being able to feel like I can use my body to, its full capabilities, but it's rarely going to be like that, so you got to be able to adjust and, play with, things here and there.
Yeah. Has there been anybody that you've had in-depth conversations with, either inside the team, outside the team, that has really kind of helped you along this process?
No, I would just say all my teammates, just being around them, always helps. We're always, there for each other. We don't really listen to the outside world, supporting each other and building each other up.
Ronnie, when the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012, that offensive line, once they got to the playoffs, so they moved some pieces around, but that offensive line became a real strength. And then Flacco got hot, and the team really rolled in that playoff run. But the offensive line, I think, was really the strength of the offense. As you guys go into this postseason, you have that extra time to get healthy, like we're talking about. Do you feel, and Morgan's been dealing with injuries, you guys have dealt with some injuries up front, but I still feel like this is a really good line. Do you feel like this line can be a strength of the offense?
100%. And I feel like, the better our line plays, the more times you see these, big offensive scoring games. And there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I feel like, having LJ back there is such a huge plus too, So even the games where we weren't playing our best, we were still able to win because of what he can do. So when we are playing our best and, he's back there feeling good, sky's the limit. And, that's
there was a lot of talk this week about the play where he turned left, then he turns right and throws a 75-yard touchdown to Zay Flowers. And that play was great. And the fake to the left side, is kind of really creative and unique on his part. But you guys deserve a lot of credit too for holding up and allowing him to make that kind of play. When you watch a play like that, do you feel like, hey man, look, if we give the protection, then this is what can happen?
Oh yeah, every time you see a big play like that, and especially when you're just watching film, and you see everyone doing their job, it makes you feel good, and you want those type of plays to happen every time.
How does this year's line compare to the 2019 line? Because that was a good line.
I would say
two Pro Bowl tackles. Yep. You had a Hall of Fame right guard, future Hall of Fame right guard. How does this one compare?
I think very similar, similar, traits.
It's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you feel like you guys are starting to gel as you get healthier, and Linderbaum's a Pro Bowler now? Do you feel like this offensive line is kind of rolling and get ready to get hot like Garrett was talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I love the chemistry we have in the room, and, it's a great O-line room. We all get along, and I think right now, in those games we're really on the same page and communicating well. And, we're not perfect, but I think majority of the mishaps, are kind of, shut out with our communication.
So we got to talk about these meals. Speaking about chemistry on the O-line, from what we understand, you're quite the host of the O-line dinners. What's your favorite dinner to throw for the guys? How much they eat? Who's the biggest eater? Mm-hmm. Who's the lightest eater? I got a lot of questions here.
Yeah,
just take me inside.
How did it come about?
I don't know. I think I have no idea. I feel like one year we've been doing it for a while now. We used to go out to restaurants.
Okay.
But now I just kind of host them at my house, and we do a different, cuisine every time. My favorite is the breakfast for dinner.
That was Linderbaum.
That was Linderbaum said the same thing.
Yeah, so breakfast for dinner, that's always a favorite. It's just, time for us to just kind of chill out, eat, and, kind of talk about other things besides football.
And this is something you guys do on a weekly basis for the most part?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Who's the guy that clears the dishes? There's one pancake
Zyler
left.
definitely, eats a lot. Sam Mustafer can eat a lot as well.
Sam can get after it. Okay.
Yeah, Sam can get after it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would expect for you, it would be some Southeast Asian cuisine or something.
No,
Thai.
Oh yeah, we've had all that. We've had Korean.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. When you have those nights, if you need an extra spot, you need somebody to take the last plate. I got you.
No, yeah, we've introduced a couple guys to Korean food for the first time. So.
Nice. Yeah. What can you say about, speaking of Linderbaum, just the season that he's had, obviously second year in his first Pro Bowl. What stands out to you about Tyler Linderbaum that's made him a special player and a Pro Bowler?
I mean, just his leadership ability, and, he really takes control, and you need that in a center, and a guy you can just count on to make the right call. He's a smart player. He's tough, and, I just have full trust that, whatever call he's making, I know I can go with it because, I know he sees the field the same way I see it and, even better, so, and, like you say, he's only in his second year, so sky's the limit for him. He's only going to continue to improve, and, I'm very, proud of, everything he's done, and, we're still going to grind and get better.
The last one that I have for you, Ronnie, is I want to get your take on Lamar and his maturation.
That's where I was going.
Nice.
Well done,
I read your mind. I think that he just seems like the buzzword is locked in. He said it over and over again, and it seems like his focus is just next level this year. How have you seen that, and how does that translate to the rest of the team?
Yeah, I mean, he's not rigid or anything, but he is focused, and he can have fun, and we joke around and stuff, but he knows when we line up and the ball's going to be snapped, everything is locked in, and he wants everyone to be like that and make sure no one gets too ahead of themselves. And it goes back to everything that happened in the past, coming up short, and like you said, he understands that these opportunities are limited. They're not, every year. So, I mean, just locked in, focused, and all around just, a great leader as well.
Awesome.
I feel like I see him on the field it doesn't matter if we're up 30 points. If somebody doesn't do something right, Lamar's on your butt. Mm-hmm. Is that true? What's he like? Is that different from earlier in his career?
I mean, Lamar's never the type to not really be focused, honestly. But I would just say he's just kind of taking it to another level when it comes to just, zero complacency about, any type of blowout, anything. He's not satisfied with any of it. It's not really, a great moment like it would be in the past where we'd really be happy about doing some of these things. So,
right.
It's really just a one set focus.
Right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ronnie. And Chef Ronnie. Well, I guess you're not the chef.
No, I'm not.
You're not the chef.
I just
host Ronnie.
Host
Ronnie. Well, you let us know next time you need somebody to clean the plates. Thank you for joining us, buddy.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you.
man. Appreciate it. Welcome back into the Lounge Podcast. We're coming to you from the SeatGeek studio. We want to give a shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, which is an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens. They've got a limited time offer running right now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use the promo code FLOCK, and you can get a deposit bonus up to $1,000. Make sure you are at least 21 or older to play and physically present in Maryland. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, BG&E is all about small businesses being the backbone of Maryland's economy. In partnership with the Ravens, BG&E is investing in communities across Central Maryland, helping small businesses continue to thrive. Throughout this week, we want to highlight small businesses, and this week's business is Creative Development Studios, doing business as Smithco. Baltimore is thriving and vibing a bit more with new fashion, music, and lifestyle retail space. Smithco's commitment resonates deeply with the city's youth, consistently giving back, inspiring the next generation of creatives throughout their enriching program. So thanks to BG&E and DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as SeatGeek. So enjoyed the conversation with Ronnie. I really thought it was interesting hearing him talk about just the differences between this team and 2019.
Yeah, for sure. I think that he was pretty matter of fact about it, that he felt like that team had a little bit of complacency and that this team has learned, taken the lessons from that, and that those are hard lessons, and has approached success differently. And I think that's probably music to Ravens fans' ears who are concerned of a repeat. I think, and I stated this on Final Drive, stepping in for you, pinch hitting a little. I think this team is better in 2019 for a multitude of reasons, but that is one of them. Having had that experience of getting burnt, and it's hard to handle success when you're 14-2 and you go on a run like the Ravens did that year. Now, this year, I think, has been very different. The Ravens are riding a 6-game winning streak, but you look at the schedules late that year versus this year. This year's has been way tougher.
I mean, there's nothing really like this year. I don't know that I remember a schedule like this to close out the season.
When you talk about heating up at the right time and playing your best football at the right time, this year is a case in point in that. The two of the other best 5 teams in the NFL came, the Ravens just played them back-to-back games. And so, whereas I think that you go back to 2019 and some of those late season games were against non-playoff teams, the Ravens were kind of just, for lack of a better term, cruising through those games. It was about getting Lamar, just enriching Lamar's MVP credentials. These have been dogfights against some of the best teams. And I think, that is one reason that this team is playing better when they need to at this point in the season.
The two things I'll say about 2019. One is I do think that this team is better equipped to it because of the experience from the last time. And I think that, as I've said before, that team was so young. It was Lamar's first season as a starter. You had all these young guys who basically almost didn't know any better, and they were just out there balling and having a great time, and it seemed like they were just almost naive to their own success, which was great at times, but also not great in some facets. Where this year's team, the focus seems to be locked in at all times to another level, and I think that they have a real understanding and appreciation to the question that I asked them, about the window of opportunity. I think they really feel like this is a special group, and that time and that talent can't be wasted. The other thing that I will say is that it's easy to basically just be like, all right, they lost one game in the playoffs, and it was bad. It was a huge disappointment. They shouldn't have lost that game. The game was kind of a weird game that had some fluky things happen. There were some drop passes. There was turnovers that went weird. It was a weird game. Fourth down just was weird. Okay,
yeah.
And it's like it's hard.
The Ravens, and John Harbaugh brought it up, the Ravens moved the ball pretty darn well in that game.
They did. They sputtered out in the end zone, and they couldn't punch it in. Red zone. They couldn't punch it in. And there just were some, again, weird things that happened in that game. Seth Roberts drops a pass that, he may have cruised into the end zone if he catches that. And so it's hard to basically be like, well, you did this in 2019 and then you lost to the Titans because of that. There's a difference, there's causation and correlation here. And I think that the first round bye was not a cause of the team losing, I don't think, in my view. I do think that rust is a thing, and I don't totally dismiss that, but I just wanted to say that about that game. I think it was a weird game, and I do think that this team is better prepared.
But with that said, I think the Ravens also will do things a little bit differently this time around. Not drastically, but I don't know how many starters are going to rest in this finale against the Steelers, but I don't think it's going to be rampant. I also think that the team is going to have a normal practice schedule next week. That's already been stated. And so they're going to continue to get their work in, and they do it in as safe as way as possible. But I don't think that John Harbaugh is just going to say, wow, that was whatever. That was then, this is now, whatever. Like, he's somebody that studies everything. And I think he is going to change up the strategy just a little bit.
Well, the one piece of the strategy that's going to be the same is that Lamar Jackson's sitting in the season finale.
Which I completely agree with.
Yeah. And the other, I guess one of the pieces I think is worth adding is sometimes like narratives get built. And I think that there is a value. Like, I go back to the 2012 Super Bowl team. The storyline, the narrative of that team was really all about the previous year, the 2011 team, and losing in New England. Of course, the Ravens end up back in New England that year in the AFC Championship, and everything basically became about avenging that game.
Right.
Well, like, if the Ravens go on a run here and they get to the Super Bowl, a lot of it can tie back to, we learned from 2019. That was something that benefited us, and we learned the hard lessons all those years ago, and now the people who are still here benefited from that experience.
Yeah.
I think that there could be a very similar narrative around that
Just
if the
not
Ravens...
back-to-back years.
It's just not back-to-back years, but for guys like Lamar and Ronnie and players who were here for both those, Mark Andrews, I think that like there's plenty of guys who have experienced it both times, and I think that there will be that... hopefully when this team gets to where we want them to get, that will be a narrative that we're all talking about.
It all starts with Lamar. Lamar's the leader of the team, and everybody that you talk to talks about how his demeanor, his behavior is different. It's not like I asked Ronnie for specific examples. It's not like something they can easily put their finger on, but like everybody talks about how his approach, and nothing's ever good enough this year.
Yeah.
Of keeping that chip on their shoulder and keeping them always striving for more and better. That's where it starts. He's the leader of the whole team. And like you said, he was so young. Like the 2019 team caught everybody by surprise. Lamar caught everybody by surprise. It was just a different vibe back then. It was the big trust vibe. Big trust. I don't know. This team doesn't have a catchphrase.
Yeah. Locked in.
Yeah. It's like, it's a different feeling. It's hard. It's just hard to put your finger on it exactly.
Well, while you're trying to just go ahead and look past this game against the Steelers, you're just looking ahead to the playoffs. You're just looking ahead. There is still a game to be played, and that is Saturday, 4:30 p.m. at M&T Bank Stadium. The Steelers are coming to town, and while Lamar's not playing, there will be plenty of starters who are playing.
Yep.
And this is a chance for the Ravens to end the Steelers season, and it's also
gotta love that,
right? So this is a big game. I think for plenty of guys. It's a huge game for the Steelers. It doesn't matter for the Ravens from a seeding standpoint, but the Ravens, I think, care about this game. There's not a feeling of dismissing this game.
Well, the Ravens lost to Steelers earlier this season in a game that really bothered them. That was a game the Ravens should have won. They dropped a bunch of balls. They should have won that game handily. That did not sit well with them. They took that one all the way across the pond to England, thinking about that game. And so I think that plays into this as well. Tyler Linderbaum was pretty matter-of-fact about it. Said, yeah, that motivates us. We lost these guys last time. We'd lost them a number of times in recent years. Not Tyler Linderbaum, but other people.
Yeah.
And so the Ravens want to beat the Steelers, period. They want to beat the Steelers. And if they do it with their backup quarterback, so be it. That's even better. That adds to it. If they beat them with some backups, great.
Well, the 2019 comparisons, they did play the Steelers in that season finale. RG3 started that game and got the win.
Yep. So I think that would feel good to the Ravens. And also, there's some things to work on. I think that one aspect of this game that I'm looking at is the Ravens' run defense. If you're going to talk about if there's been any soft spot in this amazing Ravens defense, it's been against the run. And here comes the Steelers team that has won their past couple of games and is playing better ball recently, specifically offensively, because they've been running the ball really well. Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, two physical backs. like when you step out there on M&T Bank Stadium's field on Saturday, it's still going to be physical. And the Steelers is definitely going to be running physical. Their season's on the line, and the Ravens want to match that and beat it. And so I think that that's something that I'm going to be watching on is how does this Ravens run defense? This could be kind of a sharpen yourself up before the playoffs. You're going to get some more good running teams, all that stuff. Go out there and sharpen yourself against a good run offense. Improve yourself.
Yeah, and it's the forecast is calling for a wintry mix or snow, rain, some combination of the two. And so when you have that type of game, oftentimes that ends up being a ground and pound kind of game. And so there's going to be a lot of stress on this run defense.
And honestly, you just want to go into the postseason riding a win. Like of course, if the Ravens were to lose, it doesn't matter. You're still the number one seed. But like that's not how you want to go into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You want to go in riding a win.
Yeah.
And especially over your rival. And so, yeah, I think that there is definitely that's something I'm sure John Harbaugh is talking about this week. And the Ravens, I think, probably already are feeling it, these Ravens players, that they want to stick it to the Steelers.
I also think that for a guy like Tyler Huntley, now he's actually played a lot of football the last few years because of unfortunate injuries to Lamar. But I think that, he wants to go out there and play well. Like, this is an opportunity for him.
Yep.
Even if there's players, I don't know how many guys are going to sit, but Lamar's going to sit, and there may be some others. But for the guys that step in, like this is an opportunity for them. So this is Tyler Huntley, who's in a contract year, to go out there and show the Ravens and everybody else that he is a capable starting quarterback in this league.
Yep.
That's a big opportunity. So I can assure you that Tyler Huntley's not looking past the Steelers and looking ahead to the playoffs as much as he is. Is excited about the postseason. Like he wants to win this game.
Yep.
And there's a lot of guys on this team who do.
Plus, who wants to see the Steelers in the playoffs?
Right.
Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. No.
So knock them out. Knock them out. That's what I say. Well, it'll be a fun game at M&T Bank Stadium.
You can't. You gotta before we close here.
Oh,
close
I
here.
almost forgot.
You almost forgot.
Oh my God.
You've got this beautiful artwork, and you can't just dismiss it. We already named the dog of the week earlier in the week on the Film Breakdown podcast. Lamar Jackson goes back to back there. So
Double dog, triple dog, really, because he also got it against the Steelers in the loss. He played, arguably his best game against the Steelers. He's not going to get him a second time around.
Yeah,
but he's a triple dog, back to back dog, triple dog. So here you go. There's Lamar with Santa. Bryson, you got the good shot of that, buddy. And then we got him. This thing's a little unruly. Oh yeah. Is that Big Truz? Is he throwing off the Big Truz? I'm not so sure. We kind of dogged on Big Truz, but maybe he's throwing it back up. So there you go. Double dog Lamar Jackson.
Yep, there he is, a dog of the week. So this week the Ravens, what do they got to get?
They got to get the big. I got to save it for the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to save it.
I got to save it.
Yeah.
The big win against the Steelers. There it is.
All right.